President Biden and more than a dozen Democratic allies are in Atlanta to push for the passage of federal voting rights bills. Mr. Biden is willing to eliminate the filibuster to pass voting rights legislation through the Senate without Republican support. In Georgia, President Biden beat former President Trump by a little more than 11,000 votes. A voting law implemented in the Peach State after the 2020 election restricts ballot access, among other limitations. But not everyone is pleased with Mr. Biden's trip to Georgia. For more, I want to bring in Tia Mitchell. She is a Washington correspondent for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. She was at President Biden's speech on the grounds of Morehouse College and Clark Atlanta University and joins us now. Tia, welcome. So who is expressing displeasure with the White House's trip to Georgia, and on what basis?
Well, there are a coalition of voting rights groups that have been active in Georgia. They were the groups that helped Biden win, helped Ossoff and Warnock win in the runoff. And they say that, they're unhappy, not that they don't want the president to come to Georgia, but they feel like if real change is going to happen on voting rights, it's going to happen in Washington, not Atlanta. So they were disappointed that the president and vice president, they even called it an empty gesture, that they were coming here to give a grand speech, but didn't necessarily have a plan as to how to pass the bills they're advocating for.
Well, while Georgia's Republican leaders have aggressively pushed back against the former president's false claims of widespread fraud, the state has enacted voting restrictions since the 2020 election, citing election integrity. Tia, why does President Biden see Georgia as an example of the need to address voting rights?
So it's definitely that, Georgia is among the states that are led by Republicans that passed new restrictive laws after Democrats had all those victories in 2020 and early 2021. But in addition to that, there's a lot of history about Atlanta in particular when it comes to voting rights. Atlanta is considered the cradle of the civil rights movement. It was where John Lewis called home. It's the birthplace of Martin Luther King. And it just so happened that there's continuity there because the same pulpit that Dr. King led until his death is now the pulpit led by Senator Raphael Warnock. So there was just so much symbolism that Biden and Harris put into their trip to Atlanta.
All right, Tia, we appreciate your fortitude powering on, even as they, sounds like, take down some of the bleachers and some of the risers there where you are. But, it has been about a year, Tia, since Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger recorded former President Trump telling him to, quote, find more votes. Now, Fulton County prosecutor Fannie Willis recently said she's making progress in determining whether to charge the former president with criminal charges. What are some potential next steps, and do we know why this has taken so long?
Well, your second question is a lot easier to answer. We know why it's taking so long. It's because the district attorney in Fulton County wants to get it right. You don't take it lightly, possibly charging a former president with a crime. And I think that they're looking at, there are different laws as far as, trying to influence an election that could come into play. And I think that's also something she's hired experts in different types of laws when it comes to the election laws in Georgia, as well as, looking at all the different angles they could use. But I think she's taking her time because she wants to get it right. And she knows that if they decide to charge former President Trump, he and his lawyers are going to try their best to not even take it to court and win in court. They're going to try their best to avoid the charges altogether. So I think she's trying to dot all her I's and cross all her T's before she moves forward with anything.
Well, Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, who certified President Biden's victory in Georgia, faces a primary challenge from Congressman Jody Hice, who refused to certify President Biden's electoral win. What is the latest on that race?
So it's interesting. There's not only is, as you mentioned, Congressman Hice, who's endorsed by Trump, but there's another candidate. His name is David Bell Isle. And he even recently said, he doesn't have Trump's endorsement, but he's also parroting, the quote unquote, the big lie, because he's in the Republican primary for the same seat against Representative Hice. So it's clear on the Republican side, they're focusing on parroting that election misinformation. And meanwhile, you've got Brad Raffensperger saying there's nothing wrong with the election and I should keep my seat. And of course, there are now Democrats, State Representative Bee Nguyen, who says, we can do better. And she's widely expected to be the Democratic nominee for whoever wins the Republican primary in that Secretary of State race.
All right, we'll continue to watch that. I want to turn to the Georgia Senate race. Former football great Herschel Walker has gotten a solid start in fundraising. Tia, how is that race shaping up?
Yes, and even on that race, Herschel Walker is not the only Republican running, but he does have President Trump's endorsement, and all the polling we've seen so far shows he has a commanding lead over those other Republican opponents. So it is more than likely that it will come down in the general election to Herschel Walker against Reverend Warnock, who again won that special election in January 2021, but now is looking to possibly win a full 6-year term.
All right, we know you'll continue to track it all. Tia Mitchell joining us from Atlanta today. Tia, thanks as always for your reporting.
Thank you.